up, guys? So today's movie that I'm going to be talking about is the 2015 coming-of-age LGBTQ film Closet Monster, which was the directorial feature debut of Canadian film director Stephen Dunn. I'm serving his square raccoon realness today as a tribute to the movie's poster. I weirdly like this look. I would go out to a club like this. Obviously, I think a lot of myself and my homemade haircuts in lockdown, yes. Closet Monster was released in 2015 and the story is centered around an 18-year-old boy called Oscar, played in this film by Connor Jessup. He's going through that confusing patch in life, trying to figure himself out. He wants to go to college in New York so he can hone his craft of special effects makeup. He's also figuring out his sexuality. He is gay, but he hasn't quite accepted it yet. He hasn't put a label on it. Part of the reason for that is because his father is slightly homophobic. And also, when Oscar was a young boy, he was actually a witness of a gay hate crime where another young gay boy was left paralyzed after an attack and also sodomized with this metal rod. And this trauma has sort of followed Oscar into his adolescence. Anyway, this trauma metastasizes into internalized homophobia and has an impact on Oscar as he goes through sexual awakening, sexual development, and starts desiring the same sex. It sort of presents itself as this surreal, internalized, demonic, guttural feeling that Oscar is trying to come to terms with and is wrestling with. It's kind of where the film gets its title from, Closet Monster. Something internal inside him, but there's also external figures in Oscar's life which also could be interpreted as the monsters. The main one being his slightly homophobic dad. As an openly gay man, there is something about Closet Monster which I really connected with. If Stephen Dunn is channeling his own experiences of sexual identity and sexual awakening into Closet Monster, then he's done a really wonderful job of capturing that inner turmoil that a lot of gay kids struggle with. That being that when you're a kid, you do often hear a lot of anti-gay slurs or just negative connotations when it comes to being gay. All those negative messages about being gay can have this effect on you when you start to process the fact that you're gay. It can really put you in the closet even deeper because you've been programmed to think your whole life that gay is wrong. This film beautifully captures that with Oscar's journey. One thing that I really love is that Oscar has a hamster which talks to him. I mean, it doesn't really talk to him, it's just his inner monologue being projected onto the hamster. It's really just a coping mechanism. But his hamster is called Buffy, which is named after Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, this might sound silly, but I really liked that little touch because as a kid, I religiously watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was my favorite TV show. It was also one of the first mainstream TV shows to feature an LGBTQ couple. There was a lesbian relationship with Willow and Tara. But the reason I love that show is because I really identified with it, because it was all about these kids at high school that didn't quite fit in. They were a little bit alienated. They were the weird ones, the uncool ones, but together they made the Scooby Gang and they all kind of belonged. I really identified with that because I was the weird kid at school. And the fact that Stephen Dunn named a character after Buffy the Vampire Slayer just really connected with me on an even more subtextual level about what that character name actually signifies. And what I really admire about Closet Monster is that for a first-time feature, Stephen Dunn takes some bold, creative choices with this film. There's a lot of subtextual imagery as well as body horror. He takes a lot of risks that not a lot of first-time filmmakers would dare to take. I do think at times it was a little bit overly embellished, stylistically speaking. Like there's a scene towards the end of the film which is pretty much all in slow-mo, and it just feels very drawn out. Like it didn't all need to be in slow-mo. It kind of feels a little bit hokey after a while. However, I do admire the risks that he took to express his artistic vision. It feels very personal, this film. It's quite dark and twisted, but at the same time, it's very beautiful because Stephen Dunn is allowing his inner vulnerabilities to be exposed, and I admire that. The performances are all terrific, particularly Connor Jessup as the protagonist Oscar. It's a subdued performance, but he manages to capture that inner conflict of Oscar in small but powerful moments, like a lingering glance at his co-worker that he's attracted to called Wilder, who's played by, I'm gonna butcher his name up, it's Alyosha Schneider. God, I hope I said that right. But yeah, he's also fantastic too. They have a really nice chemistry between the two of them. My suspicion is that Stephen Dunn was a fan of the poet Oscar Wilde, who was gay, and that's why he's named his two semi-romantic leads, Oscar and Wilder. They have a lovely dynamic, the two of them. Is it friendship? Is it flirtation? You're not quite sure, but it definitely has a spark to it and it does draw you in. There's one scene where they share a bed and honey, God, the anticipation. Woo! Calm down, Luke. Aaron Abrams is magnificent as Oscar's dad, Peter. What I love about his performance is that he manages to bring so many dimensions to him because he's not just an asshole father figure that you're supposed to hate. He's just an everyday dad struggling to cope and also understand his son, who's a bit different from him. There are times where you really like him, like the opening scene of this film where he tucks Oscar into bed and gives him a dream by blowing up this balloon and on his head. It's really cute. There are times where you sympathize with him and there are times where you wouldn't want to be around him, but there's so much humanity on display. And it's not just Oscar that's wrestling with his inner monster. The dad has his own internal problems that he's dealing with as well. In the end, guys, I'm a big fan of Closet Monster because it's not your typical coming-of-age gay film. It's more visceral and it's got some guts, this film. It's very surreal and dark, which I like. It sort of taps into something almost psychological and nightmarish, and I like that. It's not overly romanticized, this film. There is romance in it, but it's more about exploring that inner turmoil of coming to terms with your sexual identity, and it does it in a really bold and beautiful way. So it's time to ask those 3 questions. Firstly, would I watch this again? Absolutely. Question number 2, do I recommend it for you guys? Yes, not enough people have seen this movie. It's one of those really small but powerfully effective LGBTQ movies that's just sort of flown under the radar. More people need to check it out, guys, so yeah, definitely gonna recommend it. And question number 3, what score do I give it out of 10? I'm going to give Closet Monster a score of 8 out of 10. But as always, guys, this is just one bloke's opinion. I want to hear from you guys. Have you seen Closet Monster? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? My quick question for you guys today is, what is your favorite coming-of-age story? It can be gay, it can be straight. Whatever your opinions, be sure to let your voice be heard in the comment section down below. You can also find my Twitter and Instagram, all my social media links in the video description if you want to follow me. Also, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, and if you like the content, don't forget to click subscribe. And for more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Airfield, and I'll see you next time.